Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to talk about the collection range. I always enjoy talking about the collection range. I love the collection range, collecting the limited and standard edition sets. And my thoughts are, let's talk about upcoming sets, future sets. We have 10 sets to go. It's hard to believe that we are not only over halfway, we're considerably over halfway. Now, 5 of those sets are the 60 sets. Half of the ones left are the 60s sets, and the other half, of course, are the color sets. 4 from the 70s and 1 from the 80s. Only 1 from the 80s to go. And I'm going to talk about the 60s sets. And while I want them, especially a Trouton, I think we all want a Trouton at this point. It's just so weird looking up here and not seeing Patty T up there. I really need some Trouton. But that being said, I don't mind waiting to get a Trouton if it means we'll get a better box set if they take more time with it. Now, the problem with the 60 sets, and the reason why I think they're holding them to the end, is because of the amount of restoration work needed. And, of course, missing episodes, possibly getting more animations for the missing episodes, especially for seasons 3 and 4. Those are really affected by missing episodes. So the longer we hold off on 3 and 4, the longer we have to potentially get animations completed for those stories as they are slowly working through the animations. But even for the seasons that have more episodes, like Season 1 and Season 6, that's a lot of episodes to do restoration work on, because the 60 seasons just did a ridiculous number of episodes compared to the rest of the show. You look at something like Season 25, and Season 25 is so much easier to do. Peter Crocker has talked on this, actually, on some podcast he's been on, about how it's a lot easier to do something like Season 25 than it is like Season 8, where there's so much more restoration work that needs to be done. Because, one, Season 25 is only 14 episodes. Like, Seasons 23, 24, 25, and 26. We're talking 14 episodes, and they still have the masters. They still have the original unedited masters. That's why you'll notice these box sets always have all that extra studio footage, all of that extra location footage. Location by that time being also shot on outside videotape. Everything was shot on videotape those last 4 seasons. They have all of that they can go back to. Not as much restoration work is needed, and it's 14 episodes a season. You compare that to the 60 seasons, which average about 40 episodes a season, you know, originally, not taking into account missing episodes. But they average about 40 episodes a season. And those episodes are in varying shapes of needing restoration work because none of the original masters survive. You have a few of the 60s episodes that were recorded onto film instead of videotape originally. They were recorded from a 405 or 620 line camera directly onto film instead of a videotape. They were recorded on a 35 millimeter film. You have about 7 episodes of 60s Who that's the case for. One of the episodes for the Dalek Invasion of Earth, one of the episodes for the Dominators, I think one for the Mind Robber, one for the Crotons, one for the Seeds of Death, Wheel in Space episode 6. I think you have about 7 of them total. All of the others were originally recorded onto videotape. All of the videotape masters for the 60s episodes are now gone. All of them. What we have remaining is the 16 millimeter telerecordings that were made later, often for overseas sales. So most of 60s Doctor Who exist as these 16 millimeter telerecordings. Sometimes we have the negatives, sometimes we only have the positives. Sometimes, and they even have these 2 different kinds of stasis fields where one is better than the other. I forget what they're called. So we have the 60s episodes existing because of the junking policy in various states. And naturally that will require different levels of restoration work. We saw this on Season 2 with Dalek's Invasion of Earth and the Time Meddler getting fresh, brand new restorations from scratch, unlike some of the others, which took existing restorations, kind of worked off those. Oddly enough, I think I prefer the DVD of Dalek's Invasion of Earth over the Blu-ray. I'm not quite sure why the scan lines are on the Blu-ray. Why are there scan lines? I don't quite get that. I think I prefer the DVD over the Blu-ray. It's just whichever one I'm in the mood to watch. But it's so much more work, plus so many more episodes for, like, say, season 6 and season 1, where very little material is missing. And so I think it's a good thing to hold the 60 seasons back. As much as I want a Troughton, and I want a Troughton, I love the second Doctor, he's one of my favorite Doctors, I'm willing to wait if that gives them more time to make these episodes look as good as they can, possibly get a Space Pirates animation, probably not. It definitely needs a better recon. That Space Pirates recon's rough. I don't know quite how you do it without telesnaps, because Space Pirates doesn't have telesnaps, but it's hard going. Maybe they should add in like an audio version of the novelization of it. They should probably do that. Add in the novelization, like an audio reading of it by Fraser Hines or something. Do that. And, you know, I'm sure they've already banked stuff with Fraser and Wendy and other people associated with, you know, 60s who were there for like season 6 or just the Troughton era. I'm sure they have some of that already banked, because we already heard rumors that season 6 got pushed back a little bit. I'm definitely more in favor of getting the seasons that are more ready to go, in the sense that they don't need a lot of restoration work. Like, part of me wants to hold off on season 21 simply because I'd rather get some of the other stuff and save that last 80 season for last. But on the other hand, season 21 is probably going to be easier to do. You have more of the cast surviving for behind the scenes material. You have, again, all of the masters for season 21 exist. I don't know if any of the location work for season 21 exists, because they still used film for location in season 21. I don't know if any of that exists or not. But they still have the master episodes, so restoration probably won't be as big of a deal. Hopefully they're giving us some updated effects for Resurrection of the Daleks. Maybe Warriors of the Deep, but Resurrection of the Daleks is a must. And so I wouldn't mind getting that, just because it seems like an easier set to do, to give them more time to work on the 60s set. Now, we do know, strong rumor is that season 7 is coming, and season 7 does seem to match the tease Lee Binding did for the season. Season 13 also matches that tease, to be fair. But then, of course, we also had, what was it, Peter Crocker or someone, or was it Richard or Peter? I can't remember. Posting where they had their season 25 box set, and they had a little hint on the screen of the next one they were working on. I think a lot of people figured out that might have been something from Inferno, like a script code or something. So it made it look more like season 7. And we know they've been doing restoration work on season 7. I think we've seen screenshots from either Ambassadors of Death or Silurians or both, talking about where they're working on restorations for those, which those very much need those. I'm fine with going ahead and getting that out if they're in the process of working on it. I'd love to get season 7. I love season 7. Gives them more time to work on season 11, because Invasion of the Dinosaurs does need a lot of work. And perhaps to do a tribute video to, of course, Richard Franklin. That, of course, gives the family time to grieve and then get ready to, and then, you know, if they decide they're ready to film in a nice tribute video to our Captain Yates. We also, of course, still have seasons 13 and 16. I would love to get one of those. If they, you know, if they had to push the 60s back, you know, go ahead and give us 13 or 16. I'll take either one. Of course, I would prefer 13. I have the season 16 DVD box set. I'd much rather get 13, even though I have all of the episodes from 13 on DVD too. But I'd just rather get 13. I want it on my shelf. So we have time to work there. I think the main ones they should get out for convenience would be 13, 16, and 21. But you definitely want to get a Pertwee in there. And if 11 needs more work, not only to touch up Invasion Part 1, to do a tribute for Richard, but also maybe to have time to do good updated effects for the Invasion of the Dinosaurs. That would be really nice. I think we all want updated effects for Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I'd like to get them for Planet of the Spiders too, because they seem like they're doing a little more, maybe with updated effects now, with, of course, Season 20 getting multiple updated effect stories and Season 25 getting multiple updated effect stories. Granted, those are anniversary years and kind of a big deal, plus they're just good seasons. But the potential perhaps for Pertwee's, if all of the money doesn't go for the restoration work on episode 1 of the Invasion of the Dinosaurs, which should be, you know, a priority. more than anything, money should go to that restoration of episode 1 of Invasion of the Dinosaurs. But if they could do updated effects for 2 stories, Invasion of the Dinosaurs and Planet of the Spiders would be the ones I'd want. And I'd be willing to wait longer to get that box set if I could get those things. So go ahead and give me season 7. Because I think they'll spend so much on restoration work for season 7 that we probably won't get any updated effects for season 7. And I'm fine with that. I mean, what would they do updated effects for? Most of those stories are 7-parters. That's a lot of updated effects. And the only story I think really needs it is Ambassadors of Death. I mean, there's a few things in Silurians you could do, but really the only one I'd say needs it is Ambassador of Death. And they might not want to pay to do a 7-parter like that, especially when they're already paying so much to do restoration work. I don't know how much restoration work is being done on Inferno, since the process they use to do restoration, I think on the Blu-rays, combining the color from the tapes and the luminescence from the film, that I think they already did it for Inferno for the special edition release. So I would imagine not as much restoration on it. I think the bulk of it will go to Silurians and Ambassadors of Death, and that's 13 episodes. Don't forget, episode 1 of Ambassadors of Death is the original video master tape. Matter of fact, it's the earliest surviving original video master tape for a Doctor Who episode, episode 1 of Ambassadors of Death. The rest, of course, are in rough shape, and all the Silurians is in rough shape. So I am willing to wait on the 60s. Here's another interesting thing. I would be okay if they released season 1 ahead of a Troughton set. Hear me out. Of course, I want a Troughton set. You guys know I love Troughton. I would love to get season 6. But I'm cool with waiting while they sort out what they want to do with Space Pirates, because I actually enjoy Space Pirates. Not watching the recon, but the novelization is good. There's a good story in there. It's a 4-parter stretched to a 6-parter, let's be honest, and that's exactly what it was. But there's a good story in there. I think with season 1, I'd be more willing to accept that, because there's no way they're going to animate Marco Polo anytime soon. That 7-parter with so many characters, with so many costume changes, there's no way they could afford to do that on the 2D budget, and I don't think the 3D animation is there yet for that. Celestial Toymaker's animation I like, simply because that animation, while being a huge step above the Web of Fear episode 3 animation, big step up, that animation style fits Toymaker because of its fantasy nature. I actually enjoyed it. I wouldn't want to see that style of animation for something like Marco Polo. I would have a hard time enjoying 7 episodes of that in what is a more grounded story. I really think it needs to have another huge leap like it did between the Web of Fear and Toymaker animation. It really needs some improvement there before I think it's ready for Marco Polo. So I would be fine with season 1. Now, there are the issues with An Unearthly Child, but more and more I hear that that's not related to physical media sales. Apparently, what I keep hearing is that the physical media sales are locked down. Those are locked down in like perpetuity. Something having to do with sales on a videogram or something. I forget how it works, but it's physical sales. Unearthly Child is supposed to be fine. At least that's what I keep hearing. If that's the case, it should be ready to go. The only problem you have is Marco Polo, because Reign of Terror's missing episodes have been animated, unless they have some problem converting those from standard definition to high definition on those 2 animations. I don't know. And I like the Reign of Terror animations. Really, the only problem is Marco Polo. I don't see Marco Polo getting animated anytime soon. And the fact that, unlike Space Pirates, Marco Polo has telesnaps for most of it. Episode 4 doesn't have telesnaps, but you have 6 other episodes to pull telesnaps from for episode 4. The other 6 episodes do have telesnaps, lots of telesnaps from what I understand. So I think season 1 would work better. I would be okay with season 1 coming out before we get a Troughton set. Like if they announced season 1, I'd be fine with that because of the reasons I've just outlined. So if they wanted to get another 60s season out but weren't quite ready to push the button on a Troughton, because again, maybe they're trying to sort out what they're doing with Space Pirates, and maybe they don't want to do season 5 until they animate Wheel in Space, because it's so odd to me they haven't animated Wheel in Space. It's a season finale. It's a Cyberman story, one of the big 3 villains in Doctor Who, a Cyberman story, even if it is kind of the least interesting one of the 60s. And it's a companion's introduction with Zoe's introduction. So you figure that would be like money right there, that would be money, that a lot of people would want that. I'm so surprised they haven't done that one yet. And it would complete season 5 to where season 5 would be ready. I think there's about an 18-month window between when an animation's released and when they'll use it for something else, like hitting the iPlayer. I think Abominable Snowmen had 18 months between when it was released and when it hit the iPlayer, the animation for it. I think to the day, 18 months. And that would get us closer to getting season 5 out. So I think they'll hold off on season 5 because of that, because you figure they'd want to animate Wheel in Space. And of course, we're not getting 3 and 4 anytime soon, obviously, because of the huge chunk of missing episodes they have. So I am fine with waiting on 60 sets to give them time to get better restoration work done on them. I am fine if we got season 1 before we got a Troughton season as well, because season 1 seems to me the most ready to go of all the 60 sets, because there's just not much you can do with Marco Polo being so many episodes, and there's no way it's getting animated anytime soon. So go ahead and give me season 1. I'm fine. That holds me out. As long as the episodes have been restored to good quality. I can't remember how many episodes season 1 has intact. I think it's, about 40 episodes that season, 42. The 60 seasons average about 40 episodes a season. So it's around 40, 42. You have most of those intact. Only 9 of them are missing. So you're still talking, 30 to 35 episodes you've got to restore. But as long as the restoration work on them is good and been done, yeah, season 1, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with getting season 1 before a Troughton. But I am also okay with going ahead and getting the seasons that are in better shape. The 13, 16, and 21. I mean, if they ended up, say the next one is season 7, they go ahead and get season 7 out. If the one after season 7 is either another Tom or season 21, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with getting the 60 seasons last, as I feel like that will give the people working on the sets more time to make those box sets better. So if I have to wait to the end to get Troughton, I'm cool with that, because it means I'll get a better Troughton box set. At least that's my reasoning. I want to know what you think of this video. You guys know I love to just ramble. I don't really script these things out. I just like to talk. Comment down below. Give me your thoughts. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There is a link to that down in the description below. I also want to give a shout out to a couple of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Sam Venning. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. And all of my YouTube members as well. I also want to give a shout out to Unknown289. I had a video recently where I had given a shout out to several of my other patrons who have sent stuff, and I forgot to mention him. And he's also been really good about sending things over the years. So I want to give Unknown289 a shout out as well. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review. I love getting fan mail. It makes my day every time a piece comes in. I also have an Amazon wish list and an Amazon UK wish list. Links to those are down there with several Doctor Who and non-Doctor Who things I'm interested in. You know, if you ever want to see me review some Twilight Zone episodes or anything, 'cause I love the original Twilight Zone, those are down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.